Here's Dana and I talking about the opportunities to get horses show broke in big rodeo arenas. Why would
Hmm.
that be different from, or have you ever had a horse that went bananas over a mini?
Absolutely. I was just going to mention that. That triggers every horse. I do say too at the Mustang competitions when they bring the burros in. Oh, some of those horses are like, "What's that?"
Yes.
Especially
Yes.
when they start braying.
Yes. Yes. Or, and then cattle, I mean, it can be anything that'll trigger a horse,
Yeah,
really terrorizing them. And you can feel their heart going right through the
you can.
saddle.
Yes.
When I feel their heart coming through the heartbeat through the saddle, I'm like, I'm off this thing.
Yeah.
I'm too old now to even think about it. I'm like, I'm off them. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm getting
Yeah.
down now.
I like how you put it that it's a gamble and that's like what you're taking because, we do try and prepare at home best we can. Like I say with my horse that I show with, we do a lot of, exposing him to new things like, tarps and dragging stuff and all of that to try and make him as comfortable as possible when we go out into the world. And we can't control those outside factors, but there's still that thing that you can't anticipate that, happens.
You never know on a good day or a bad day. You might go out today and your horse was really good. You won all the classes. Everything felt great. You're
Yeah.
like, wow, I just kicked butt in whatever level you're in.
Hmm.
And you check your horse. You have the night nanny all paid up to look at them. You leave them in the stall. They should be fine. Everything's safe. You come back the next day, the night nanny says they checked them, everything looked good. You get
Hmm.
to your stall and you just realize that your horse is just not themselves.
Hmm.
And, I could be wandering around the showgrounds going, what happened? Why is my horse totally different from yesterday? And then the person whose horse is behind my horse tells me that their horse was cast last night, that they were there in the night, dealing with it. It was rolling around. It kept the other horses up all night. Probably my horse didn't sleep. It means the
Yeah.
lights were on in the barn. Was my horse okay? Yeah, the night nanny kept writing that my horse was okay, eating and drinking and pooping and everything, but nobody said anything about this horse that was right behind him that was struggling, not feeling good, you
Hmm.
know, keeping the whole barn up. And it's really a gamble, and there's a lot going on all the time. So and that's another thing, competitors are like, well, the last three shows I've been to, I received 66 to 68%. And then, well, you must not know anything as a judge. You marked me 62 today, only got a 62 from you. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's what I saw today.
Hmm.
Do like, are you sure that your performance was exactly the same as all those other performances? Does your horse feel exactly the same as it has
Hmm.
every other time you went out? Because it only takes one or two little things to affect a performance.
Hmm.
It's amazing how those movements that have times two on them that have the coefficients, you just mess up two of those and your
Yeah.
score can go down dramatically like you have no idea.
Hmm.
And people complain all the time about this kind of a thing, and then we'll try to help them and answer their questions, and we'll say, well, let's have a look at your chest. And then the
Hmm.
comments clearly say that they had, well, the judge says unsteady connection and losing impulsion, that's probably a 6,
Hmm.
and they wrote down 6.
Hmm. Yeah. And it's as simple as my horse is pretty sensitive. If I go to a different show ground, and he has never been there, our rides aren't, I know the first time that he's there that they're just not going to be the same. And I know that, versus a place that he's been to a couple times and now he's comfortable at.
So you're becoming a sophisticated competitor and you understand that.
Yeah, so I'm not mad about it. Like now that's just my expectation. I know that we may have a little bit, feel a little more tense, and not have the same kind of harmony that I would have at a place that I've showed at a while. And so, yeah, I just know that. So, and it's, I just accept it. It's okay. And we'll just
Yeah.
keep going until he's more comfortable. And then hopefully we see our scores go up after that. So,
That's good. It's good that you recognize that. That's one of the things that we combat at our biggest show in WD is that most of America does not have a rodeo arena to ride in.
Hmm.
And the main arena with the seating that goes up, so people are above the horses' heads, that's almost impossible. There's no way to school a horse to that if
And
you
no, it's
don't
very
have
hard.
no. And even the arenas that you have where the people are on the ground level with the horses, that's a different environment. So even if you can find an arena, but you have more like just seating where the seating is sort of on the same level or even just staging seating, that's
Hmm.
not the same as these stadiums where the seating goes up like a rodeo arena.
Yeah.
And so most of the United States does not have these rodeo arenas. And
Hmm.
so our competitors get to Worlds and there's all this, wow, I'm at Worlds. So the competitors are pretty tired. They've hauled and hauled and hauled and hauled, the people that have hauled 3 and 4 and 5 days to get there. And the horses are wasted and tired and exhausted. And then they get to new stalls and a new environment and it's hot or it's cold or whatever it is. And then they get to this stadium, that one, and then the one that's outside for the beginning horses is equally as difficult because people are above them again.
Hmm.
And then there's just, wow, I'm at Worlds and I'm in a class with 40 people. There's a
Hmm.
lot of unusual stress, which I sometimes am kind of like, you see people um, on the Facebook pages kind of saying, well, you should get your horse more show broke and, you should get it more experience and this and that. And I'm just sitting there going, I've been around a long time and I really understand about show breaking horses and getting experience or whatever. But there are situations where you can't replicate that situation.
Yeah.
Especially, the people that are on the East Coast don't have these rodeo arenas. And most
No,
of
it's far and few between to get in an arena like that. I remember the first time I did it was at the equine affair, and I took my Appaloosa, and he's a steady horse, and he was good in lots of situations. And the first time we went into that type of arena with that seating, he was pretty nervous, and when everyone started clapping,
oh,
I did the fastest side passing I've ever done in my life. Because he was like, Mom, I don't know what to do, but I want to be a good boy. So here we are doing the fastest side passing ever because he's trying to look at everything and look up and look around. And it's hard. It was hard, yeah, because there was no way to really prep him for that. There was nowhere else I could go that had an arena like that.
it's right. That's right. It's really specific to certain competitions and
Hmm.
certain venues. The people that are able to get their horses to those specific venues where they're going to be competing, have a huge, 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 huge advantage if they are used to that kind of a venue. But that finding that opportunity is very rare and it
Yeah.
isn't easy. So
So I have a question. I've never been to Worlds. Do you have the opportunity to go school in the arenas prior to the competition, like if you come the day before, are you able to get in there and expose your horse to it?
well, yes and no. Um, we have problems like a lot of really big shows are able to contract with the facility that the facility will be open to the people for several days before. So like for me, it's a 3 or 4 day haul from
Mhm.
Vermont. And me, I'd like to go. Like there's times for other horse shows that you can go and get a stall somewhere a week before. You can go a week ahead and rest your horse, which if
Mhm.
you went that far, you really ought to if you're a good horseman. But this particular facility, we can only get in just a day or two ahead.
Okay.
And and they also restrict you, like I know last year, I think it was you couldn't enter that facility until Saturday morning, eight
Mhm.
o'clock. Like people were lined up outside the gates.
I was gonna say everybody must be trying to go, and then that
Nightmare.
creates probably a lot of chaos. It would make me very nervous. I
Yeah,
feel like I wouldn't
yeah.
have the nerves to go to
You
World.
don't have a lot of time ahead. Once you get there and you can get in the stalls and stuff, they try to open the arena. But then here's the next part. The very first day, in the main arena, now the small arena where there's two 20 by 40s in one arena that's together, those are open for schooling and they are supervised with stewards and stuff. But the main arena, which is the big rodeo arena, that's supposed to have two big dressage arenas, and that's where level 2 through 5 has to be, because those are the 20 by 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Because because the first day of our world show is rail classes,
Mm-hmm.
then the small dressage arenas aren't always set up because they are trying to deal with having rail classes and stuff. And so, although you could get in there some, it wasn't set up in the situation that your horse was going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So, there were people that were trying to get their horses in that arena, but the little dressage arenas, as we know them, like these, were not in there
Mm-hmm.
because they were going to have the hack classes and stuff the first day.
Okay.
So, as a competitor and a coach, I'm sitting there going, this is difficult for people. I mean, if you've never had a horse in this kind of situation, although you're putting it in there. And then those first day or two, there's almost no spectators. So when you're in there, there's nobody walking around up above.
Mm-hmm.
There's no judges in the judges box. The announcer isn't going. All the stuff. How about all, many people in the warm up, in a tiny warm up. So people were trying to get their horses schooled, but it still wasn't the situation that they were going to have to meet later in the week,
Mm-hmm.
which was still challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And in that particular facility, none of the warm up is big enough or adequate for the number of horses we have.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had to make rules where we will only have this many horses in here. And so you, during the day, could only come in so many minutes before your test, which meant that you could possibly not get any extra work time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the competitors that I spoke to, who was not a young woman, she's a mature trainer, told me that she was really exhausted at Worlds because she had a horse that needed to deal with this facility.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the limitation of going in that arena only so many minutes before your test, she had to wait until the arena was completely finished for the night, and she could only hand walk her horse in that arena. It was after 9 o'clock at night before she could hand walk her horse in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got late, it got really late. And
Mm-hmm.
she was one of the first rides the next morning, and you're getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock if you're the 8 o'clock ride. So there's a lot of this kind of thing that goes on at really big shows where there just isn't enough time. Do they open the rings? They try to, but their own schedule prohibits use of the rings because the rings are being used. So
Mm-hmm.
there's not as much time as you might hope for. If
Yeah.
if we were allowed to have, an extra day or so to be in there, if the facility wasn't squeezed so much calendar wise with needing um, the other shows are so close to us that we can't even expand another day,
Mm-hmm.
we would have more opportunity.
Yeah. Do you think that they'll ever change the location of Worlds?
They talk about it.
If you like the information we provided today, don't forget, subscribe, like, and share. Also check out IdaNorrisDressage.com and Ida Norris Western Dressage on Facebook.